everyone, welcome to a new Sage Garden Project lesson, and I'm very excited because today we are actually going to get to make our Cook Grow journals. Now today you are going to see two different options. The first option is the one that I'm going to focus on because it's the one that I know everyone has the material for. The first option is going to be to use the Notes app on your iPad to start a folder for my Cook Grow journal. This is where I will add all of my thoughts and feelings and reflections as I work through our Sage Garden Project lessons. Now the second option is one that you can do at home with the help of a parent or guardian. And you can actually make with paper and cardboard and recycled materials, including scissors and tape and ribbon, whatever you want. You can make your own paper and pencil journal. So that's an option if you have those materials at home. If you do not worry, because today we are going to focus on making a journal with our iPads. And the reason why we're doing this, our out of the world fact, is that journaling can help you clear your head, make important connections between thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So when we journal, a lot of times it helps us reflect on what's gone on throughout the day, and it helps us really just kind of mellow out, just figure out what's going on, and it also gives us a way to look back and track our progress and look at the way that things are growing, how we've changed over the course of time. So I'm really excited to get you all started with our Cook Grow journal. So the first thing that I do want to go over is some of our vocabulary words. So these are the words that we are going to be using as we create our Cook Grow journal. So I want to take just a moment and I want you to look at each of those words. Field scientist, nature, observation, align, reinforce, creative, imagination, idea, and divergent. And as you look at those words, I've actually created this so that they're kind of organized into different parts of our lesson. So I want you to take a moment and try to see if you can figure out a category or certain words that may be related to each other. So just take a second and think about what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be making your journal, your Cook Grow journal, and we're going to be using that to reflect on the progress of our Sage Garden lessons. So when I look at my first three words, field scientist, nature, and observation, those words kind of go together. If you're a field scientist, you're probably working in nature. And you're probably doing a lot of observations. Now my next group of words. Align, reinforce, and creative. These are all words that we are going to need as we actually build our journal. If you are making a journal out of paper, you're going to need to make sure that all of your holes are aligned, or that all of your holes are in the same line. If you're working with a paper journal, you're also going to need to reinforce the spine or the part where your book opens. And of course, you're going to need to be pretty creative. Now those next three words, imagination, idea, and divergent. In order to have a journal and in order to continuously have content to write, we have to have a pretty good imagination. We also have to have ideas, and we also have to have some divergent thinking, which means that we don't always necessarily think the same thing as others. We can think our own things, and it's okay to go in different directions. So a field scientist, if you look at our image here, is someone who works outdoors. They explore and they investigate and they try to understand what they observe or what they see. In nature is pretty much anything that is not human created. If you made it, it's not going to be nature. Nature can include plants, animals, landscape, and other features and products of the earth. Your house is probably not part of nature. If you have a plant in your house, that plant is part of nature. Observation. Oh, this is one of my favorites. I love to observe. It's the action or process of observing or seeing something or someone carefully, or it's a way to gain information. So if you're observing, you're just kind of sitting back, you aren't interacting with someone like this person in the picture, they're just looking. They're seeing what they see, and they're gaining information about what they see. Reinforce. When we hear the word reinforce, I want you to think of what Mrs. Rivaldi teaches you when you're building bridges in her engineering class. If we reinforce something, we need to make it stronger than before. So when you're thinking about what you've done in the past with Miss Rivaldi, you've had to reinforce bridges or your robots or things so that they don't fall apart. We have to do the same thing when we're going to be making our journal. We're going to have to reinforce parts of the book so that it doesn't fall apart. And that's if you're doing the paper version. Align. Take a look at those cubes. They're all in a straight line. They're all lined together. If you align something, it's when you place or arrange things in a straight line. So a lot of times right now, if you're outside waiting in line at the grocery store, you might see that people are aligned 6 feet apart. So they're in a straight line. Creative. Oh, I love this one. Imagination or original work. We are going to definitely be getting very, very creative throughout our lessons with the Sage Garden Project. And I'm very excited to see your creativity and your imagination, which is new ideas or images or concepts. And I want to take a second and I want you to think about how that picture right there may connect to imagination. In my mind, it connects to imagination because that caterpillar is imagining themselves as a butterfly. It's imagining itself already having gone through the cocoon, already having emerged from the cocoon as a beautiful butterfly. That caterpillar has a great imagination and is definitely looking forward to that. Another way that you could look at it is that the creator of this picture had an amazing imagination because they created that image from the caterpillar with the butterfly shadow. Idea. An idea is a thought or suggestion, or it could even be an action. So throughout our journaling process, you are going to have the opportunity to share a ton of your ideas. And I'm so excited to check in with you all and to hear about the ideas that you are sharing and reflecting on. Divergent. I know that divergent may have been a new word for a lot of us. And when we look at this picture, we see that we have arrows that are going different ways. Divergence is when you tend or when you are typically different or going in different directions. So the reason why this is one of our words is because we don't want everyone in their journals to be going the same direction. That wouldn't show a lot of creativity or imagination or your ideas. Instead, this journal is going to be your own, and I'm so excited to see what you all make of it. So, before we actually get into it, I want you to get thinking. I want you to think about this quote from this poet, W.H. Davies. W.H. Davies wrote this: "What is this life, if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare." So take a second. Think about those lines from that poem from Poet Davies. What do you think that Poet Davies meant? If you would like, share your comments down below. Write out your thoughts. What is it that you think that Poet Davies meant when he wrote those lines? What is this life if, full of care, we have no time to stand and stare? And as I'm thinking back to some of those vocabulary words like observation, imagination, idea. And in my head, I'm really going over that line. What is this life with no time to stand and stare? So share your thoughts. What do you think that poet Davies meant? Feel free to write them in the comments below. Okay. So now, a couple more questions. If you don't want to respond to the poet question, that's totally fine. We have some other questions for you to think about before we get into our actual activity. Our curiosity and reflection section. What is a journal? What do we use a journal for? Have you seen one before? Is a journal the same as a diary? What would you write or record in a journal or a diary? Why would a field scientist use a journal? What is nature? What does it mean to observe? Take a moment. Think about those questions. If you'd like to pause the video, you can go down, you can comment below. If you want to write yourself a little note somewhere, you're more than welcome to do that. Okay. So on the next slide in just a moment, we're going to see some different ways to use our journals. All of our journals are going to have a similar purpose, but they're all going to look and feel and be very divergent or different. And that's really what we want, because your journal is for you. It is for you to make what you need it to be. And we're going to be using those journals to make our observations. So, we can observe so many things. With our journal, our Cook Grow journal, we are going to be looking specifically about things in nature. We may observe how plants in our homes are growing. We may observe the foods that we're eating. We may be looking at how much rain is falling. I know most recently, if you're watching this right away, we've had a ton of rain. And that's something that we can observe and something that we can use our Cook Grow journal to record those observations. Now, this journal is really a way for us to make our own observations. And that's going to help us notice how things change over time. If you have a little brother or little sister, you might not notice how much they're growing, or even a big brother or big sister. We're all pretty much still growing in one way or another. And over time, if you see them every single day and all the time, you may not notice it. But if you look back at older pictures, you realize how much things have grown. And this journal is going to help us remember and give us a way to reflect on how those things have changed. Okay. So we're going to use a lot of our imaginations. I want you to be really creative as you make your journal. And there is no right way to make a journal. That's one of my favorite things about this activity. So you aren't going to be right or wrong as long as you make it your own. That's the whole purpose of this. So start to think of some ideas that you can use to think differently about how a journal can be. I really want you to think divergently. Okay. So here we go. If you guys and girls know me by now, which I know a lot of you do, you know that I love technology. So one of the best ways for me to make a journal is on the iPad. This is not the only way to make it. If you want to make your journal out of cardboard and paper and pencil, and if you want to get cutting and drawing with your favorite markers, go for it. By all means, please do that. But right now, I'm going to show you on your iPad how we can make a journal with your notes. So I'm going to be on my home screen of my iPad, and I have my notes icon. And what I can do to keep this nice and organized, I'm going to make a folder. And I'm going to title that folder Cook Dash Grow Journal. And you know what? I'm going to add my name on there too, because this is mine. Whoops. It helps if you spell your name right. There we go. Cook Grow Journal, Miss Gallion. I'm going to hit save. And now I will see it right there on my folders. If I click on my Cook Grow Journal, oh my gosh, I don't have any notes, but guess what? That's okay. Because the first note that we are going to add is going to be our title page. So the first time that you click down, I just clicked right on my iPad. See how it says new note, 3:01 p.m.? That's the time. I'm going to title this Miss Gallion's Cook Dash Grow Journal. And notice how I'm capitalizing everything. Oops, I put an extra period in there, sorry. Notice how I'm capitalizing the name and the title of my journal. We want to make sure that we're following those correct capitalizations. There we go. Okay. Now I have the title of this note. I'm also going to add the date. Today is February 1st of 2021. Ta-da! Now, this is where we use our creativity, our imagination, and we really think divergently. This is where you get to show your creativity. This is like the cover of my journal. If you've ever seen the front cover of a book, this is where the artist or the illustrator shows their creativity, and they really show things that relate to what the book is going to be about, or in this case, what our journal is going to be about. You can add pictures. If I click on the camera icon and I can choose a photo or video, I'm looking through my photos and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have anything that really relates to what this journal is going to be about. So that's okay, because guess what? I can take screenshots. I can go into my Safari. I'm going to search for nature image for kids. And I always add for kids at the end, just so that I make sure that I get school appropriate images. Now, when I find a picture that I like, I'm looking through, I'm like, oh my gosh, this one is gorgeous. Okay. I love that that one is hand-drawn. I like their creativity. I just took a screenshot by clicking my home button and my lock button, and I don't want all this side stuff in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my crop lines until I have it the way that I want it to be. Once I have it, I hit done, save to photos. I can click my home button, and then guess what? I click my camera button, choose a photo or a video, click on that photo or video, I go to add, and there is my picture right there in my notes. So you will have the opportunity to add any images that you would like. Guess what? If you are like an amazing artist and you love to draw, you can do that on your iPad too. I would just go to my pencil at the top. I can make my lines. I can change my colors. And you can draw this out. You can also do highlighter. If you wanted to change the thickness of your pens, you can do that. See how that blue line is a little bit thicker than the other blue line? And you have a ton of colors to choose from. So, my guys and girls, I want you to take some time, use your creativity, get your divergent thinking going, get your imagination going, and start your journal. And some of you are like, wait, Miss Gallion, I wanted to do mine on paper. Not a problem. We will give that just a moment to reopen. And you can definitely still do yours on paper. If you love your pens and pencils and paper and scissors and cutting and glue and ribbons and all that fun stuff, you have your instructions to get your journal started with items right from your home. Okay. If you want to do your items from your home journal with paper and pencil, take a second, take a screenshot of that page, and I'll give you guys just a moment to do that. If you need to pause it, you can pause it. Great. Perfect. So my guys and girls, you have just learned how to make a journal either using your notes app or with items from your home. So I'm going to close out this lesson with a song from Sage Garden.
Water and air, sun, soil, water and air, sun, soil, water and air, sun, soil, water and air. Everything you eat, everything you eat, and everything you wear, everything you wear, everything comes from.
Okay, my guys and girls, feel free to finish out that little jam session on your own because everything comes from sun, soil, water, and air. That is all part of nature. Thank you so much everyone for watching. Don't forget to add any of the answers to those questions in the comments below. And if you want to share a picture of your journal, please send it to us. You are more than welcome to email it to your teacher. And we really look forward to seeing your journals. Thank you so much everyone. Thank you for being part of this Sage Garden lesson. And we can't wait to get journaling with you. Thanks. Bye.